Hey friends! So, I am officially graduated from college. Woo! So I wanted to share some tips and tricks with all of you about creating a resume. So let's get started. Hopefully you enjoy. First, let's start with the format of your resume. I personally wanted to stay away from any of the templates that you can purchase or download or your laptop on your word processing programs already have. This is just because I've always found them hard to edit, and sometimes I was never really a huge fan of how they showcased who I was, so I was always someone who wanted to create my own resume, and that is what I have done. So when you're creating your resume, just make sure your margins are either 0.7 or 1 inch margins all the way around. This is just totally up to you, depending on how much you write. The next thing you'll want to do is make sure to keep your length of your resume down to at least 1 page. College graduates or soon-to-be college graduates, we don't have a lot of experience yet under our belt, so they really are only looking for a 1-page resumes. Remember that when creating your resume, try to stay under that 1-page mark, just to keep things simple and clean. And moving on, you want to make sure the whole resume overall is clean, professional, and simple. Black basic font, one of the classics like Times New Roman or Arial. I'm trying to think of any of the other ones. You would know what I'm talking about. We sometimes want to choose a fancy font. I know I did in the beginning, and I was like, ooh, I want to choose this one from defont.com, but then realized that's not always going to be the best choice just because I have downloaded that and put that onto my laptop, and someone that I may be sending my resume through an email to won't have that same font, and so when they upload my resume, that font might not have transferred over, and then it would just be a huge, not good situation. So I stay away from those now and just stick with the fonts that we know are on all computers. When you are thinking about fonts and everything is bolding, underlining, capitalization, italicized, all those things, use those sparingly. You want to make sure you save those for the important information so that they stand out. Make sure you stay consistent with your writing style throughout. For example, I know for a while I was writing things like putting the name of the job that I had and then bullet points to explain my position. And I was putting periods on some bullet points and then no periods at the end of other bullet points. So you want to make sure you stay consistent. So next is the content and overall style of your resume. First things first, you want to decide on your overall impression that you want to give your employer when they are reading your resume. You want to make sure you can convey something to them, whether you're a team player, a designer, a salesperson. Just decide what you want your resume to really showcase about you. So next thing that you want to get down is your header. This is just your name, address, phone number, email, and sometimes your LinkedIn profile. That's totally up to you. I created my own header in Photoshop and then inserted it into my resume, but that's up to you as well. I don't know, that's just because I'm applying for design positions, so I want to be able to kind of showcase my graphic design skills. So you want to be, like I said, showcase who you are in your resume. So the next thing is the objective. I have read so many articles talking about, is an objective good, is an objective bad, and I think it's just a personal preference, but if you choose to do one, make sure it's brief and try to tailor it to the specific job that you are applying to, and you can kind of just change it for each resume that you send in depending on the job, or you can kind of make it a brief overview of the type of job you are looking for. I guess we should start about talking about the different sections. So your headings of each section of your resume, obviously the simple ones are like education, skills, experiences. Education, for your education, you'll want to make sure that you have the correct, or you want to make sure you have your current school, and possibly if you haven't graduated already, you want to put in there your expected graduation date. Something interesting that I want to share with all of you is you want to remove any of your high school information at the end of your junior year in college. So Once you hit junior year in college, high school is no longer relevant. Thing we want to talk about is experience. Make sure you go in reverse chronological order, meaning you want to talk about your most recent work first and then go backwards. And then for the skills section, this is the one part of the resume that I feel you can kind of twist and tweak for each job that you apply for. I think it's important to focus on the skills that the employer is seeking. So if you have a job description or a job posting, try to have that up next to you when you are creating your resume so that you can kind of highlight and really showcase these skills that they are looking for in an employer. With skills, there's this thing called soft versus hard skills. Soft skills are the I'm really organized, I'm a team player, and hard skills are, hey, I'm really awesome at Photoshop and I can write 300 words a second. Not really, but you know what I mean. I just try to balance my hard skills versus my soft skills to make sure that I have a balanced number of each of them. And then the next thing, when you are talking about your experiences and your skills, try to start off each bullet point or phrase or however you're writing that with an action verb. Sounds kind of corny, but it adds a lot to the resume and it really just showcases that skill or experience a little differently. If you don't really know what words to use, you can definitely Google search this. I will maybe put a couple links down below for all of you. And you can just search action verbs to use in your resume and I'm sure you'll find a ton of results. So those are just a few of the headings that are probably the most important. You obviously can add as many other headings you feel are necessary. For example, if you are someone who volunteers a lot of your time and you feel it's necessary to add maybe a community service section to really highlight all of your experiences, then go for it. To conclude this whole entire video of all these different information, fun stuff, make sure you spell check. You want to stay professional at all times. It'd be awful if you didn't have something spelled right or punctuation. Make sure you stay consistent with your writing style. And I cannot stress this enough, do not give out personal information like your social security number or something, because that could just be really just not good. Just don't do that. You don't give out your social security number to anyone, so don't do it here. So yeah. And then the last thing, when you are saving your file, you want to try to save it as your first name, period, last name. Just kind of simplifies it and makes it clean. You can also add resume at the end if you feel it's necessary. You can either save it as a document, and I sometimes save it as a PDF because I do have that header in there from Photoshop. So when I'm sending it through email or anything, I want to make sure that it carries over. So it's just up to you if you want to save it as a document or a PDF. Sometimes they will request one or the other. So it's up to you. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I know this has been a lot of information. If you have any other questions, let me know. But I will see you all in next week's video. But until then, have a lovely week.